So welcome all. So back of you third year students. So it's time to pick your FYP. All right. So final year project. Okay. So we are going to talk about a couple options today, and I'll try to give you a little bit advices on how you take the right FYP for yourself. Okay. So we have 4 options here. So the very first one is the experimental FYP, the individual experimental one. So for this, it is applicable to all students in all programs. For this one, actually it comprises 3 courses, okay, 4901 to 4903. All right, so 4901 will be starting this summer. Okay, so upon your mutual agreement with your potential supervisor, some students might start actually in May, actually right after final the final examinations. Some might start in June, July, depends. Okay, the idea is the first course is to prepare you for your year-long project. Okay, the requirement for 4901 is actually just simply proposal. Okay, we require you to work on a proposal. You discuss with your PI. On what you're going to work on. In the next 9 months or so. But the issue is, it is very unlikely that you are just going to work on your proposal. Okay. We start a little bit early, okay? So most likely, actually, the summertime is most likely the most critical time during your entire FYP training, all right? Because this is the time that you will be free. You don't need to take courses. So most of the training provided to you, so you can actually finish all your work will be carried out in the summer. Okay, so for 901, the requirement, the grading requirement looks pretty simple. Okay, 60% proposal. That's all you need to actually really submit. You do not need to submit any preliminary data whatsoever. But we are expecting you to actually start generating preliminary data. Okay, and then 60% of your grade will be coming from your supervisor. Okay, he or she is going to grade your work performance. Whether you are being responsible, how quickly you are learning the techniques, how much time you are spending in the lab. All right. So your proposal will be marked by 2 professors. Okay, including your supervisor, because your supervisor needs to make sure your proposal is on track. So your work in the next 9 months will be on track. Okay. And then that would be 4902, 4903. Okay, so that's the first term and the second term. All right. Each of these are 2 units. Okay, it's 2 plus 2 plus 2. So if you can finish all 3 courses, you are going to have 6 units. But the issue is, we do offer you the option to take only 4 units, right? You probably have seen that. We can allow you to actually just simply start at 4902 and then work on 4903. Okay. So on paper, yes, it's true, but it really depends on the professors who are offering the projects. Okay. Some professors might actually prefer you to finish all 3. As I said, because the summer is the most critical time for the training and also to work on your proposal. Okay, to make sure that you are actually going to be on track. So it really depends. So if you pick projects that allow you to just work on 2 terms, perfect. Okay, but if you actually see on the list that we provide to you, some of the projects are actually listed for all 3 terms, very likely the professor might not allow you to take only 2. Okay, so you need to discuss with the professors who are offering that project to you. Okay, some of you might be going to exchange, dream program, internship in the summer. Then you need to really consider which project you should pick, and you need to discuss with the professors offering that project. You must get agreement with him or her, okay, whether you can actually pick 4901 off, okay? And it is strongly recommend you don't do the exchange. I know some of you are actually still planning for exchange next year. If you are planning for term 2, okay, or term 1 for exchange, it is going to be a little bit difficult for you to finish your entire FYP. So again, it might be possible, but talk with the professors whose projects you are interested in. Okay? Any questions for this? I'll go through like the grading assessment later. Actually, let's do all the individual ones first. Okay? So if you take a look, why I say that it is difficult for you if you take your second or first term off for exchange, you might not be able to finish this. Because for the first term, okay, you have to submit your progress reports. Okay, it means that you're supposed to have a written report with preliminary data. Okay, you need to show progress in your project, and this is why 4901 is important, because you could spend most of the summer generating the data for 4902. Because once term 1 starts, you guys probably know that you're going to take courses. It's going to be your final year. Some of you might be taking 3 or 4 courses. You're actually not going to have that much time to work in the lab, no matter how hard you try, okay? I know some of you might think that you're going to work extra hard on the weekend and things like that, but that would be midterms and things like that. So it's very difficult for you to generate enough data for the progress report. So strongly recommend you take 4901 as well. So you can see, for the grading, okay, 45% of your final grade of your 4902 will be coming from your progress report, okay? And then again, 50% of your work performance coming from your PI. And that's one requirement, okay, for 4902 and 4903, okay, for both terms, is attendance at SLS seminars, okay? So now, we are back to face-to-face teaching. We're going to offer seminars. We're going to invite speakers over the world to give seminars, okay, to postgraduate students and as well as undergraduate students. So there will be more than 3 seminars each term, okay? So you can feel free to pick 3 that you are most interested in, and that will actually make up 5% of the final grade, okay? So this requirement apply to 4903 as well. Term 2, same thing. We're going to have a lot of seminars. You can pick 3 to attend. Again, 5% of the final grade. So, but your second term will be a little bit more demanding, because in addition to your final reports, okay, you're still going to submit. You need to submit a written report. It's going to be like pretty long thesis for final year projects, but you also need to do an oral presentation. Okay, so 40% for the oral presentation, 40% for the written report. Okay, and this time 15% comes from your supervisor. All right, and you can see, for the term for 4902 and 4903, now your written reports, progress report is graded by 2 separate professors, okay, not including your PI. Okay, so you are actually going to be almost like, have an external review, by other professors with different expertise. So you need to work pretty hard on those written reports. Okay? Any questions so far? So far, so good, right? Okay. So, so this is the senior experimental project courses. Okay, as I said, you can do for all 3, which is highly recommended, and then, or you can do just 2, 4902 or 4903. Okay, depends on the professors. So you can see the remarks. All right, so the list that we sent it out, the professors might already have specified whether he or she requires you to work all, for all 3 courses or only 2. 2 enough. Okay. Okay. So that's a requirement, okay, for GPA. You need at least 3.0. All right, major GPA 3.0 or above to work on experimental FYP. That's exception, okay? That's some flexibility, okay? If you are close, okay, you are borderline, 2.8, 2.9, you really has strong interest in doing the FYP, you can discuss with your potential supervisor and see he or she actually allows that, okay? If the professors agrees, okay, that to take you in, we do actually give certain flexibility for students who don't meet that GPA requirement, okay? So don't give up if your GPA is borderline, not quite 3.0 yet, okay? And we also expect around 40-50 students taking the experimental FYP. So we hope, okay, we have an even share of FYP students among the supervisors, okay? Each group hopefully will take 2 to 3 supervisors, okay? So I know you guys have preference for certain supervisors, but he or she may not be able to take too many, okay? So try, to talk with different supervisors and see maybe, there are actually other groups actually fits, your interests as well, okay? So try to talk with different supervisors. Okay, so there's a maximum. So for the guideline, that actually each group can take up to 4 FYP, but again with some flexibilities. All right. So for all programs, no matter which programs you're working on, okay, PhD, biology, CMBI, doesn't matter. Okay, the proposal, progress reports, everything will be standardized. Okay, the format, the requirement, the grading, everything is standardized. Okay, so it doesn't matter, which program you're coming from. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's get back into the option 2. Okay, in case, all right, you actually do not have enough confidence to carry out the individual FYP, or you actually, as a group of friends, you have some ideas, on some kind of scientific group projects you want to carry out. We now offer the group projects options to you. Okay, group research in life sciences, pretty much the same deal as the individual one. We really hope you can do all 3 terms, 4911 to 4913. Each of them, 2 units, same format, okay, except that you are going to carry out the project in groups, all right? And this one not necessarily has to be lab space, okay? It can be for education of science, for other purposes. It doesn't have to be lab-based, but again, depends on the supervisors who are offering, the projects to you. Okay, so let's take a look of the requirement for this. Pretty much the same deal. You see, it's actually not that much difference. We try to, normalize, the grading criteria, except that, for the group projects, okay, to eliminate free rider, okay, to prevent, free riders. We actually 20% of the first course, okay, 4911 is going to be given by a peer. Okay, you will be grading, maybe you will give some marks, to your fellow students. Okay, of course, the best is everybody get this 20% means there's no free rider. Okay, same for 49112. Okay, 15% of the final grades is coming from your peer. Okay, 40% from supervisor, 40% from the progress reports. Okay, and finally, same apply to 4913. Okay, but your peer, your participation, graded by your peer will now comprise only 10%. Okay, so these are the grade distribution. Other than that, the markers, okay, the way that we mark it is identical to the individual project. And students who are attending or taking the group projects also need to attend the seminars. Okay, 5% of your final grade of 4912 and 4913 is coming from That is. Okay, same deal. So I'm not going to go through the recommended study scheme. Again, it's up to the supervisor. It could be lab-based, it could be non-lab-based. Talk with the PI. Okay, I know a couple of the professors actually offer some interesting non-lab-based group projects if you are not really intend to do lab-based research. Okay. The number of students allowed for each group again is decided by the supervisor. Usually about 4 to 5, I would say. Like we usually don't allow too many in the group because it's hard to distribute the work. But I would say 4 would be the safe number for group projects. Okay. So for lab-based projects, again we have the GPA requirement with some flexibility. No GPA requirement for the non-lab-based projects. Okay. So hopefully we will have 1 to 2 groups this year. We'll see. All right. The other proposal, progress report, final reports, again formats apply to all different programs. Okay, so for students who actually do not want to do the experimental one, okay, you don't think experiments is right for you, it's perfectly fine. You can take the third option, okay, LSCF 4000, literature review. All right, so and of course there's option 4, which is pretty rare. I think it applies for FNS and CMBI. There might be capstone courses that so that you don't need to even take FYP. Okay, but let's take a look of the option 3. Okay, so this is a 3 units course. Okay, it's very different from the others, and the others 2 plus 2 plus 2. So you eventually get 6. So for students taking your literature FYP, make sure that you fulfill the units requirement for graduation. Okay, if you're taking this, because you're missing 3 units. So it's offered to all programs, including NSCI, but not CMBI. Okay. So this one you actually work side by side with the supervisor who offer the projects to you. Okay, you're going to discuss with him or her, identify research topics that you are interested and he or she also interested. Hopefully you strike a mutual agreement on what topics you're going to work on, and then you're going to conduct a literature review. All right, this is actually almost like you are going to write a review articles, like the one that you read on any journals that you actually have probably read through. Okay, it's going to be a long review. All right, we're not going to make it easy. It's a capstone course, right? So there's certain requirements. Okay, we can talk about that later. When you actually meet your supervisor for LSCI 4000. Okay, but it is similar to the final year experimental FYP, which you need to do both oral presentation and written report. Okay, as I said, this is going to be a long review article, but you also need to present it orally. Okay, and then finally the 20% will be made up by your supervisor. He or she will give you points depending on how responsible you are during the whole period. When you are actually doing the discussion with him or her, you are required to meet him or her at least 3 times, but strongly recommend you to do more if you actually need help in putting together the review article. Okay. Okay. Finally, yes. So your oral presentation and written report will be graded by 2 teachers other than your supervisor. Okay. Any questions for this? No questions for experimental and also literature review? Okay, so I think all of you have already received the email on the list of final year projects available right now. Okay, for both LCF 4000 and also the individual or group experimental FYP. Okay, so it is time for you to really go through the list, identify projects that you are interested, and communicate with the potential supervisor. Okay, contact the professor who offered that project directly by email, call, I don't know, whatever, usually emails. If he or she doesn't respond, usually because he or she missed your email but not trying to ignore you, okay? So don't give up if he or she missed or forget to reply to email, okay? Particularly those who email me have a strong tendency of forgetting to reply email. So email me again or email those professors again, okay? It's very easy for us to miss email, we receive like 40 emails a day. Okay, so don't give up, don't think that, professor doesn't want to take me in. If he or she already fill up all the spots, he or she will let you know. Okay, he or she should let you know. Okay, so don't give up until you receive a response from the professor. So you're gonna talk with the professors, have a discussion on the project. He or she might decide whether you will be appropriate for his or her lab. And then if they agree, okay, he or she agrees, you can put down the name on your selection list, okay? You actually have a form to fill up, okay? It's a selection form. You actually can choose up to 3 supervisors, okay? 3 different projects. You need to prioritize the one you want to join the most, okay? The 1, 2, 3 actually means something. That's actually your first, second, or third priority. If this is a lab that you really want to join, you need to put it on the first priority because they will be the first professors to see your application. Okay, unless they don't take you in and reject it, then your applications will go to your second choice. Okay, so it's good like that. So make sure that you strike an agreement with the professor first before you putting down the names in your list. Okay, don't just go talk with the professors and professor said, okay, maybe I'll consider you, and then you, without the consent, without the agreement, okay, that you already start putting them in the list, that usually won't end up well for you, okay? So make sure you strike an agreement with the professor first, okay? If he or she, has some hesitation or need to wait a little, before they make the decision, then, try to talk with another professor first, okay? All right, so after you discuss with the professors, you're going to submit the form. I think the deadline is end of this month or end of this month, okay? So you have time until end of this month to meet with all your potential supervisors, okay? For students who opt in with LSCI 4000, you have a lot more time. You can take different choices, up to 15 choices. But again, you need to prioritize it, okay? Which teacher and so on and so on, okay? So for the LSCI 4000, you might or might not need to actually discuss with the supervisor because most of the supervisor offering those can take quite a few students, and but again, if you can prioritize and talk with those people, you will help you a little bit. Okay. As I said, May and June, students can start their project. Okay. Again, appoint agreements with your supervisors. Okay, some start in May, some are allowed to take some break and start in June or even July. Talk with your supervisors. Okay, don't try to compare different labs. Okay, each PI works a little bit differently. Okay, so August is the time that you submit your project proposals if you are taking 4901. All right, mid-August is the time you're going to submit your very first report. Okay, which is the proposal, and then your grades will be ready by the end of August. September is the time that actually we finalize the matching between students and teacher in LCF 4000. Okay, the summer there won't be too many news. Okay, because we need to wait until all the teachers come back and then all the students confirm all their choices. Okay, for the experimental one, these are the time that you actually start your 4902 or 4912. okay, and you continue to work on project. Actually, it's nothing fancy, nothing new, all right? You just continue working. And actually, you do it all the way until next March or April, okay, 2004, March or April to finish everything up. Meanwhile, you're going to submit your progress report in December, and then your final thesis in April, all right? Oh, so for LSCI 4,000 students, you can actually carry out your projects actually in the first term or second term, because it's a 3-unit course, it's a 1-term thing, all right, for the LSCI 4,000. But most students actually will do it in the first term, so it really depends. Any questions? Okay, so here just some brief statistics of last year, how many students are taking the experimental FYP, or the literature review. I don't think it really matters to you guys, but this is the deadline. Actually, yeah, the deadline to submit your selection. Actually, it's not end of month. 24th of March. Okay, it's about a week, actually about 10 days from now. All right. Any questions about the arrangement and everything? No. Okay. So let me give you some ideas on how to pick supervisors of group. Okay, I have almost 20 minutes. Very good. Okay. Okay, so I know many of you probably pick PIs because you attend his or her class. They're nice. They explain things very clearly. In class, okay, it's very different from in lab. All right. And also another thing you need to really consider is not whether the professor is nice or not. It is actually whether the project fits you or not. Okay. So how do you decide that? I know everybody here, studying life science want to work on diseases, neurodegenerative diseases, cancer, right? This sounds very attractive, right? But my recommendation is not to look at the topics, okay? At least don't make your decision depends on the topics entirely. Okay, why I'm saying that? Because most of us here, one way or the other, we all work on certain scientific topics related to diseases. Okay, cancer, bacterial infections, okay, neurodegenerative disease, everything sounds pretty attractive, right? Some of us are plant biology, viral biology, things like that. Okay, but the issue is to pick up a project like that. Okay, you want to pick up a project, for example, in my lab, okay, splicing in colon cancer. Okay, cancer, right? That's great. Okay, cancer pathway. All you need to do is actually spend about 3 weeks reading papers, and you become very experienced or at least pretty knowledgeable about splicing mechanism in colon cancer. Okay, you want to work on pancreatic cancer, spend another 2 weeks. Okay, you already know splicing, right? Pretty easy for you to actually switch topics. All you need to do is reading. Okay, but it is almost impossible for you to switch techniques. Okay, within 9 months. Okay, so what I recommend students in the past, like students who actually I interview is, don't just pick my projects because I work on cancer, I work on splicing, things like that. Look at the techniques they are using, okay? We can actually address cancer by using mouse models, okay? We can actually, address cancer pathway using cell-based assay. Or in my lab, I'm actually just purifying protein and looking individual proteins that is taking part in that cancer-causing pathways. What do you want to work on? You want to work on the animal? You want to work on the cell? Okay, you want to do cell culture experiments? Or you want to learn recombinant technology? Okay, you want to apply what you have learned in class. Okay, do some cloning, mutate something, and then apply to purify the protein and do it in vitro. Carry out the assays in test tube. Which one interests you the most. Those techniques are what you're going to do in the next 9 months. The training we're providing you, at least for the first half years, is on the techniques that you will be using to finish up your project. Okay, the techniques takes time. All right, whatever topics, like cancer, neurobiology, okay, neurodiseases, Alzheimer's, that takes weeks. Okay, days. If you're actually really interested, read 5 review papers, you're good. Okay, the techniques is not. All right, so pick the techniques. So how do you do it? For example, very simple. Okay, actually not very simple, but let's say Professor Au. All right, Professor Au is working on H. pylori. Okay, on microbiology. Okay, sounds like microbiology, pathogenic bacteria, but she's doing structure function studies. Means that you're not going to work on the bacteria, you're not going to do microbiology experiment, you're not going to culture bacteria. Some, okay, but not like working on H. pylori or working on TBs, like in the virus lab what you do, in a biological safety level 2 labs. You're not doing that. You're actually going to do molecular cloning, you're going to express protein, you're going to do crystallography. Okay, so how do you decide? How do you determine? Go to our webpage or at least look at the research interest that what techniques we're using. And then, even better, at least click on one or at least read 1 or 2 papers that we have recently published. Okay? So you will know that what techniques we are actually using. Okay? You will see actually a lot of protein expression, structure function studies, right? In Professor Au's group, in her papers. So right there, you know that you're not going to touch the cell culture, you're not going to touch animal, but you're going to look at structure using, for example, cryo-EM, X-ray crystallography, and so on. Okay? So right there, you need to decide whether that technique actually fits your interest. All right? So let's see. I want to do some related to bioinformatics. Then you can, for example, look for Professor T.F. Chan, Jerome Hui, right? Look for the expertise, okay, the techniques we are actually expert in. Okay, for example, I'm expert in crystallography, but I also do cell culture work. Okay, so if you like that, it fits you. If not, if you're thinking of doing animal studies, using mouse, xenograft mouse, okay, to study cancer, that's not going to happen in my lab. All right, it's going to just disappoint you. Okay, Professor Kwan, if you're interested in using mouse as a model, so right there, his research interests already tell you are going to have a chance to work on mouse. Okay, in the study of organogenesis and tumorigenesis using mouse as model organism. Read 1 or 2 papers, on this. Everything has mouse dissection, mouse tissues, primary cells and things. Is that something for you? Okay, stem cells, right? You can look for Feizheng, you already know that. Think about the techniques you want to learn, not the projects, not cancer, not neurodegenerative disease, things like that. Okay, I think that will help you more than just looking for which disease pathway you are actually interested in. Because this might lead to your success in your future study as well. The FYP is to prepare you, could be for your future career. Okay. Actually, you are not interested in animal study. Okay, you think it's cruel to do that. Okay, think about, how much pain you will be suffering from working in a mouse lab. Okay, you are killing, twisting the neck every 2 days or so. Okay, or if you're actually interested in molecular biology, okay, you're thinking about looking for a job in the biotech industry in Hong Kong. They do a lot of DNA sequencing, a lot of bioinformatics, then this is the time you actually start thinking about maybe you should work on a bioinformatics project as an FYP. Okay, this is the time, all right, for when picking FYP, don't just randomly pick, the nice supervisor, the really attractive topics, Pick the techniques that you think you would benefit your career choosing, or even if you're planning for postgraduate study, okay, this is the time you make the choice, you make your selection. Think about that, you're going to work in my lab or Professor Au's lab. okay, on crystallography. Think about it when you apply for graduate school, what is going to be the most attractive selling point on your CV? You know crystallography, right? You know protein expression. Think about your future supervisor, when they pick graduate student. If you want to actually eventually do immunology, okay, or maybe do animal work, think about how this actually fits into the lab. It doesn't, right? So that actually hurts your opportunity to apply to those labs. Okay, so right now, pick the right techniques for your future. Okay, don't randomly pick FYP. It's going to hurt you more than helping you. Okay? Any other questions? Any questions? If no, then that's it for today. Okay, that's all I have to say. If you need more information, feel free to email me or Professor P.F. Chan. Okay, I'm responsible for the group project, so if you have questions for group projects, email me. For the individual experimental projects, email Professor P.F. Chan. All right, don't email me. And then if you have questions about topic selection, things like that, feel free to come and talk with me now. I'll stay until 1:15. Another 10 minutes. That's it.